We have the extended ball joints here. I just went with spoon. They were pretty reasonably priced compared to all the other options. They were all in the range of about 170 to 220 bucks. These spoon ones being on the higher end of that. Went with this because I'm probably never going to replace the ball joints again, hopefully. And, you know, I don't have any spoon parts on the car, so I thought, why not? So those will go in. Those need to be pressed in, which is what this kit is for. This is the OMT Master Ball Joint Press Kit. I measured the width of the ball joints, the body of the ball joints, so it should have an adapter that works for that. We'll use that to get the ball joints into the knuckle. It may or may not work for pressing the old ball joint out of the knuckle, but we'll see if it works. And if it does, great. If not, we've got a hammer and a vise ready to go. So we've got the knuckles out of the car. We'll just go ahead and start disassembling. First thing you got to do is take this dust shield off. It's pretty easy to get off. Just pry it out with a screwdriver. Set that aside. Ball joint's coming out this way. It has to be able to utilize this cutout here. I'll clean this up a little bit, and then we will start trying to get this ball joint out. Got to remove that snap ring there. This is an external snap ring. Before you take that off, you got to get this boot off. Just a pair of pliers, grab this spring clip, and we'll get that right off. Okay, so we'll just clean it up and make sure to get all the dirt out of the bearing here. Spray a little PB blaster on there. Let it sit for a minute, and we'll work on the other one since I've already got the other one ready to go. Okay, so no need to mess around with the ball joint press to get these out. It'll just be more hassle than it's worth. So I've just got a 24 millimeter deep impact socket that'll fit right over like that. Sit nicely on the shoulder, and then with a few whacks, that should start coming right out. Just like that. First, we're going to put some grease on these threads, just any normal lithium grease or high pressure grease should work fine. Okay, so we've got the knuckle clamped in a vise here and the ball joint just lightly pressed in here by hand. So we're going to go ahead and start pressing. I've fiddled with the adapters, and you're actually going to need a little bit different than what the OMT manual tells you. So since the neck of the knuckle here is curved up and kind of into this space where the C-clamp, the threaded part, would normally go, they're saying that you should set it up like this, but you can't because the knuckle's just in the way of the thread. So you got to flip it around like this and use a couple different adapters here. Still pretty easy though. So we're going to use part E for the top. That's going to sit right in here like this, and that's going to be pressing directly on the top of the ball joint. And then for the adapter here, you want to make sure you have adapter D. That's just pressed into the threaded part. And then you're going to use Q for the receiving cup. So that'll just sit right like that. And we'll just get that on there like that. Get E in here. Okay, 22 millimeter socket on a 1/2 inch ratchet. Just start tightening that up. That thing's gonna flip over on its own. Gotta recenter this. Make sure that's getting pressed in correctly there. Should start going right in. And as soon as you feel good resistance, you are pretty much done. So just back it off. And we'll check and make sure everything looks kosher. All right, that looks pretty flush to me. What you want to look for is to make sure that your snap ring groove over here, down in there, is fully exposed and flush with the machined surface here. So that looks good all the way around. It's even all the way around. That's the big thing. You want to just make sure that it went in straight. Other than that, we'll throw the ring on, and that'll be one down. So just a quick comparison between an extended ball joint and a regular ball joint. If we hold them both up here so they're about flush, you can see that the body is basically identical. It's the stud, it's the shank that's longer. So it's kind of hard to tell, but it is about 1/4 of an inch overall longer. But just that much is enough to change your suspension geometry so that your bump steer is back to basically stock levels. And don't forget to put your dust shield back on. Clean that up. Be best to clean the top side of the bearing here and this little ledge that the dust cap sits on, just so that it seats all the way down. Throw that back in, press it in, grab a little back end of a screwdriver or a plastic mallet or a hard rubber mallet and just tap it in. Kind of got to go back and forth on it, and you'll be able to see down on the inside here. Let me get some light. You'll be able to see down in here when it's sitting on the metal race or the metal ledge inside there. So this side is seated, this side over here is not, so I'm just going to hold this side down. Make sure it's all the way down on all sides or it'll just pop out. You could also use a seal driver for this if you have one big enough. I'm just too lazy to get mine out. So yeah, that looks pretty good right there. Nice and even on both sides. Nice and even on all sides. It's a circle.